U.S. Capitol siege a wake-up call for democracies, top EU diplomat says.
Here's a summary of the article.
3-minute read. Brussels. The European Union's top diplomat said on Sunday that last week's siege of the U.S. Capitol exposed the dangers of allowing the degradation of democratic values to go unchecked and disinformation to spread on social media. What we saw on Wednesday was only the climax of very worrying developments happening globally in recent years. It must be a wake-up call for all democracy advocates, EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell said in a blog post. Everybody needs to understand that if we accept setbacks after setbacks, even if they seem minor, democracy and its values and institutions can eventually and irreversibly perish, said Borrell, who speaks on behalf of the 27 EU member states. The resulting assault by rioters left 5 people dead. In case anyone had any doubts, the events in Washington also show that disinformation constitutes a real threat for democracies, Borrell said. Trump has repeatedly used Twitter and other platforms to claim the election result was fraudulent and to share other conspiracy theories. The EU's Executive Commission last month proposed rules to clamp down on fake news on social media. These would force large online platforms to tackle illegal content and intentional manipulation of platforms to influence elections and public health, or face fines up to 6% of global turnover.
This post received a score of 85,000, with an upvote ratio of 81%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Comparing your opponent to Trump is going to be the default attack for every election outside the US.
Bolsonaro. Edit. Brazilians, prepare yourselves. He will do the same. Bolsonaro is worse than Trump. Thank God Brazil doesn't have the global military presence the US does or the influence.
Also, maybe specifically because we're used to having horrible leaders, our checks and balances down here in Brazil seem to work slightly better than the US ones. Still far from enough, but at least the powers of the president here are more limited than the powers of the president there.
Our president's powers have expanded dramatically over the years. Be aware of this power creep. In fact, our constitutional framers intentionally made president a relatively weak office, giving more primacy to the legislation. Over the years this has shifted. Greater than be aware of this power creep. Same with the Patriot Act that really put the US on a slippery slope.
Patriot Act really was wrapped in the flag, wasn't it?
Add the words patriot, freedom, or tactical to anything in the US and you can sell anything to about half of the US population.
Wasn't much of a wake-up call here, since we're seeing action taken that guarantees it happens again, and worse.
What actions are you referring to?
Republicans like Lindsey Graham who says we should move on and most likely won't impeach Trump.
Heal equals ignore the coup we instigated until we can try the same thing again in the future.
I really want to know what Trump has on people like Graham and Cruz. Trump has shown them and their loved ones nothing but disdain and they still follow him. Guess who donates the heavily to the people like in the GOP, through a and don't forget.
He doesn't need to have anything on them. These people are completely self-serving. Lindsey Graham's ultimate motive in everything he does is to stay relevant. They know the Republican Party has become the Trump Party and are just acting accordingly. I honestly think it's that simple.
IDK. That News Channel 4 expose on Cambridge Analytica has me thinking he has some decent leverage over Cruz. Cruz paid them nearly $6 million for them to fire him and sign with Trump.
Cambridge Analytica worked for Cruz because he was the Mercer's candidate in the beginning. People working on Cambridge Analytica actually cheered when they went to Trump, because they would have an easier job not working trying to increase the popularity of someone as hated and uncharismatic as Ted Cruz. The fact that CA managed to get fucking Ted Cruz to second place in the primary says a lot. So just put 2-2 together and it is easy to understand why Cruz licked Trump's balls.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.